Today marks the third official day of my mother's death, and you never, I can now honestly say that you never really know what you have until you lose it. But even then, I'm very lucky to have had 25 amazing years with my mother. And even though they weren't perfect, she she loved me very much. And regardless of any decision she ever made, or not saying something, or just being who she was in a way that made you just want to scream, but you knew that's simply how she was. It's very strange because this is, we went to the church today to really start planning the funeral, and a good friend, oh Lord, I can't speak. A good friend of mine just lost her mother to cancer, and it's ironic and it's poetic. My mother was literally all I knew and all I had, and these past 3 years were very hard for me. And it's it's very easy to be attracted to the idea that our parents are going to live forever, because they're not. And I knew my mother wasn't going to live forever. She had cancer, so you anyone who has ever had to deal with cancer, whether it was somebody they knew through church, or it was a parent, or not an uncle, or even a pet, because cancer can affect pets too, or animals, whatever, however you want to call it. But if you've ever had to deal with cancer, it it takes so many years off of your life, because you're like going through chemo, doing radiation, and you're doing so much to your body. And especially my mom was already old. Well, I mean, she wasn't old. She was 68 when she passed. And like, it wasn't like she was ancient or whatever, but I'm 25. I turn 26 next month, March 27. And so she was old enough. But well, with cancer, it doesn't really matter how old you are, because if you're gonna go, you're gonna go. Then, well, that's the curse of mortality, you know. Like, that's the curse of being human. At the end of the day, we're all gonna die. But with your parents, you always, depending on your relationship, but even then, sometimes you always kind of hope and wish and just think to yourself that they're going to be okay. Like, they're going to make it. Like, I'm just going to go to grandma's house, just take the kids to grandma, you know, we're going to mom, pop, or nana's house. Like, we always have that idea that our parents are going to be around to see us get married and have our first child. But until that's not an option, then you take it into consideration, but you don't really, like, you take it, but it's like, I know, like, we all die, whatever. Like, I'm going to call my mom next week, we're going to bingo. But it's not until it's not an option anymore that it suddenly is like, holy shit. Like, it's, if it wasn't for the fact that if it wasn't for the fact that my mother and I, we were so close, and I'm gonna say we didn't have many secrets. For that, I'm very grateful. You know, kids and parents, they have their secrets, but a lot of things I knew, or I found out on my own, or through other means. But there weren't very many secrets. So it wasn't. I didn't. I I don't have many regrets. I don't. Not with my mother. I can honestly say I was a good daughter and I did right by her. Get him. I don't care. Move. I'm sorry, that was my cat. But I have very few regrets, and